Even if you're a city person, the pull of the small-town romance is not lost on you. That's why the Hallmark Channel is so popular. There's just something about finding romance in the boy next door, or the gruff baker who thinks that romance isn't for him, or maybe even the stuck-up city girl who's come home after too long away. It's all about second chances, hope, redemption, and just a good old happily ever after. We all love the idea of the purity and simplicity of small-town romance. We turn off the movie or close the book feeling all warm and fuzzy. If you're a fellow lover of those cute small-town romance movies or books, then I want to help you out. Whenever you need a dose of that adorable small-town love, look no further. Of course, this list is not limited to these 14, but I've compiled some great romance authors that will guarantee you get that HEA and all those warm fuzzies. Better to start with the best, right? Click on the titles to buy your own copy. When in Rome by Sarah Adams. Sarah Adams is pure and simple, and the love she portrays hits you right where it hurts. Author of the TikTok sensation, The Cheat Sheet, this award-winning author has written a modern spin-off of Audrey Hepburn's movie, A Roman Holiday. When in Rome follows the life of a stranded pop star named Amelia. She's tired of the spotlight and ready to escape it all. On a whim, she drives off to Rome, Kentucky, and ends up broken down in the lawn of Noah. Noah owns a pie shop, and he does not need this right now. He lets her stay in his guest room, but for a limited time only. He's got pies to worry about. This book won one of the best books of the year on NPR, and it gets a 4.03 rating on Goodreads. Fans are loving the charm, the simplicity, and that oh, so delicious slow burn. It's a modern take on Roman Holiday. So if you love the Hepburn story, and you love a bit of grumpy versus sunshine, then When in Rome is just the thing. Bet on It by Jodie Slaughter. If someone could make a book about bingo sexy, then Jodie Slaughter has done it. Think Deep South, Peach Cobbler, Piggly Wiggly, oh, and maybe a sexy pact? In this lovely small-town romance, we see Aya in the grocery store, randomly coming across the man of her dreams. Oops, but this man is also her bingo buddy's estranged grandson, who's come back in town. Walker is not even supposed to be there, but his grandma is sick, and he wants to help her as well as get out of where he was. Greenbelt, SC, really has nothing going for it, except for maybe this new woman, Aya, who we can't seem to forget about. Fans are loving this book. Beloved romance author Talia Hibbert calls it hot, sweet, and utterly unique. On Goodreads, it's hitting the charts at 3.57 stars, and people love the enemies to lovers trope. They also love how it touches on anxiety issues, making it even more relatable. Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison. Okay, if you love Hallmark, then that means you love Christmas romance. Lovelight Farms will scratch you right where you itch. It's the first book of a small-town romance series, yay, and it's endlessly sweet. Stella Bloom loves the Christmas tree farm, Lovelight Farms, but it's not doing so great, like raccoons in the barn so great. So, she joins a contest to win $100,000 to save the farm. She wins. There's just one drawback. She said she had a boyfriend to share the farm with, and so she needs one fast before the publicity starts honing in. Luca Peters, best friend, is home for the holidays. But suddenly, he's wrapped up in the stake of a Christmas tree farm, and he's wrapped up in Stella too. All the lovely Christmas vibes aside, this book has got it all. Fake dating, friends to lovers, and small-town romance. It rates at 4.07 on Goodreads. Fans are loving the sweet characters and the moment when friends changes into lovers. And it gives you those holiday feels. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Emily Henry's romantic prowess speaks for itself. This book was an instant #1 New York Times bestseller when it first came out in 2022. Not only that, but it won Most Anticipated Book of 2022. Emily Henry weaves a wonderfully heartwarming tale about Nora. She's a book lover and literary agent who is in need of a vacation. She's not exactly the normal romantic heroine. She's definitely not sweet or chilled or anybody's dream girl. But maybe this vacation with her sister will help straighten her out. Charlie, a grumpy book editor who she knows from back in the city, is also on vacation. In the same place. It would be romantic that they keep meeting, but these two don't really care for each other. But the small-town vibe hits them eventually. This book has earned a 4.21 on Goodreads, and fans definitely love the enemies-to-lovers trope between these two characters. Also, female fans enjoy the fact that it's a healthy, positive representation of a child-free woman. Go Emily Henry. Pride and Puppies by Lizzie Shane. Puppies can take the place of romance, right? That's what Dr. Charlotte Rodriguez is hoping for in this lovely tale of small-town romance. And she blames Jane Austen for her problems in love, claiming that Austen made grumpy men sound like a dream. So, she swears of dating and decides that a puppy is more deserving of her heart. She just needs some pet advice, and so she goes to her sweet, kind co-worker George. He was always a friend, so safe and kind, but things start to heat up in a way she never thought they would. Could Miss Austen be right about love after all? This is a wonderfully charming friends to lovers romance. Readers are giving it a 3.67 on Goodreads, and say that this book is definitely for those in need of some warm fuzzies. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. So, you'd think that the city girl, country boy trope is overplayed, but it is so not. Abby Jimenez totally rocks it in this adorable romance, Part of Your World. Alexis is a city girl through and through, and an ER doctor to boot. Circumstances bring her into the sphere of Daniel, a laid-back, hot carpenter who's 10 years younger. Never in her life did she think they'd go together, but her heart says otherwise. But when her family wants her to become part of the surgeons that fill her background, she's not so sure. She can't seem to fit Daniel into her glitz and glamour life, but she doesn't want to give him up either. How can she combine her worlds? This book was a Goodreads Choice Awards finalist, and it also won Bookpage Magazine Books of the Year. It gets a 4.38 on Goodreads, and fans are drooling over this one. One can't go wrong with a rugged country boy and a dog and a goat. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I'm such a massive Tessa Bailey fan. It's really one hit after the other, and It Happened One Summer is one of my all-time favorites. Again, you've got the glitzy city girl vibe who's used to getting the spotlight in LA. Piper's been living as a socialite, but it all comes to a screeching halt after a pool party gone wrong and a night in jail. She's packed off to a small town by her stepdad to run her father's dusty old bar. When she gets there with her sister, Hannah, things look pretty rough from the outset. It's a town full of grumpy fishermen who aren't used to outsiders, especially not super put-together ones. Piper meets Brendan, one of the grumpy fishermen who's maybe a little too easy on the eyes. Together, they work to help her find something she never really knew she needed. It earns a 4.07 on Goodreads, and fans of alpha males and so dreamy, tingly love are obsessed with this book. And lucky for you, there's a sequel. Just Another Love Song by Kerry Winfrey. This romance is Hallmark worthy through and through. Sandy and Hank are high school sweethearts, and they have dreams of leaving their small Ohio town and making it in the big city. But their plans fall through, and Sandy has to stay back. But Hank goes on ahead and pursues their musician dream, and the relationship doesn't make it. 15 years later, he's back in town with a young son, and Sandy's not sure how she feels about it. She's totally not interested in trying anything more with Hank. But when they're thrown together on a shared task for the town, the past keeps on coming back to her. This beauty gives you all the feels for second chance romance trope lovers. This has small town romance written all over it. It gets a 3.81 on Goodreads, and readers are loving the vibes between the main characters. But just as is true of quality small town romances, there are lovable side characters too. Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. Delilah is never going back to Bright Falls, or so she believes. Why should she? All that's there is her cold stepfamily. She's got a good life in New York, and her photography business is taking off. But when her stepsister Astrid asks her to photograph her wedding and offers big money, she comes back. It's there she sees Claire, one of Astrid's best friends. Claire is still hurting from a breakup, and she doesn't want things to get messy again. But Delilah's opening up her world in new ways. She just might give into the charm. This book gets a whopping 4.16 on Goodreads. Fans are loving Blake's style and her ability to write sapphic love stories that warm the heart. Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. Maggie is always moving around, flipping houses and becoming a YouTube sensation. She's got a tight schedule, and she doesn't have time for foolishness. Foolishness like Silas, who's just a little bit too sexy. Oh, and he's working as her landscaper. But as the summer drags on, he starts to break down those old walls she's been putting up, in more ways than one. But when the time comes for her to leave, does she want to continue the moving life, or stay and put down roots? This book gets a 4.07 rating on Goodreads. If you're a fan of remodeling romance, then this small town romance is your perfect match. The Rom-Com Agenda by Jane Denker. Yes, everyone loves a makeover romance. In this story, Leah's been having one disappointment after another. Eli just got dumped, and now he's scratching his head to figure out what he did wrong. Enter makeover trope. Leah gets involved in helping Eli become every woman's dream. The only thing is, she sort of thought he was already great, and they sort of think that about each other. Cosmo promises, you'll be obsessed with every page. It gets a 3.45 rating on Goodreads. People are loving the swoon-worthy moments and the sweetness on every page. If You Ask Me by Libby Hubischer. Violet is an advice columnist. She always knows what to say in any given situation and to anyone. But her picture-perfect life sort of blows up in her face when her husband cheats on her. In various fits of rage, Violet uses her column to air her frustrations. And she also burns her husband's belongings in the front year. Hello, sexy fireman named Des who enters the scene. Things heat up, but when her ex comes back on the scene, Violet finds herself at a crossroads. It gets a 3.55 on Goodreads. Fans are really enjoying the darker themes addressed in this book, as well as a woman advocating for herself to get what she deserves. Oh, and did I mention a fireman? Wishful Thinking by Celestine Martin. Magic is no surprise out in Freya Grove, and Lucinda loves her life there, but she keeps hoping for more, and that accidentally turns into a spell. A spell in which she can't say no. She's doing things she never thought she'd ever do, and that includes helping her high school crush on Jinx's house. But maybe this spell will bring her what she truly wanted all along. It's one of 2 in a book series, and Goodreads rates it at 3.54. If you like a little mixture of magic in your romance, then this book is for you. All Fired Up by Dylan Newton. Things have to get spicy when you briefly head to your grandmother's hometown only to find your one-night stand is there too. Imani is there to help her grandmother get better, and then she's going back to her big book publicist life. Xander, a former Marine, knows that life is precious, and he savors the moment. But he can't stop thinking about that moment when Imani rocked his world. So when she recruits him to help fix up her grandma's house, they decide it's best to stay friends. Only that doesn't work out so well. This is a cute romantic comedy that suits fans of Emily Henry. It gets a 3.77 on Goodreads, and reviews are focusing on the real feel of love between the characters. It also tackles some dark, yet relatable themes. No matter where you live, fall in love with small-town romance in these 14 heartwarming books.